All right. Hey, everyone. One last thing I wanted to fill in the blanks for that I didn't get a chance to talk to in any of the periods. Just take me a quick second. We have these three images here, all of which, if you would like to consider, have the truth in them, okay? That's the truth, that's the truth, that's the truth. And whenever you take a perspective, whenever you take a stance or try to show something in a way, you end up skewing things. And so this over here happened, but it shows war, and it shows this scene in a very negative light. So war equals bad. And then over here, you have the war scene portrayed in a very positive light. War equals good. And in the middle, we discussed in class how that's not exactly the unbiased one either. There's still an incredible amount of bias in here too. So what I wanted to point out was that this is what you call bias or spin. And if you have liberal websites or liberal magazines, newspapers, whatever, they can, in their own mind, portray war in this light and feel okay with their presentation of it, when we know that that's not true. And the opposite over here, you could show war in a positive light if you're more of a conservative-leaning newspaper, magazine, etc., etc. Those are oversimplifications. I'm not saying that conservatives are pro-war and liberals are anti-war, but you can see how those spins occur depending on if you take an image and you spin it right or you spin it left, that there's distortion. Now, one final note. In class we talked about how, well, let's not get there just yet. This on the side sells a lot of magazines. This perspective here gets a lot of clicks on hyperlinks, which drives advertising revenue. This side over here, same thing. Clicks, revenue, advertisement. There's profit on the sides. The more you spin things one way or the other, the more profit potential there is. And over time, you get companies like CNN or Fox News or Salon or Huffington Post or whatever the case is, leaning away from this center spot because it doesn't generate what's called clickbait. People aren't as interested in the less biased versions. They see this image, they look elsewhere. Whereas if they see this image, they stop, they look, and this is profit. Now, the classes that you're in are no different. I'm no different. I find it troublesome when I teach the center version, if we can even call this the central version. When I teach this, people aren't interested. If I present a lesson here that's more centrally located, I get glazed over eyes, glassy eyes. So I, as your instructor, I'm tempted to swing to this side or swing to that side, because the farther over I go, the more interest I get from the class, the more open eyes, the more questions, the more excitement and exuberance for what I have to teach. So even though I'm teaching you that these sides are lies, even myself, who is attempting not to teach lies, I find myself gravitating or being tempted towards the spin version of things. And I think that happens with every instructor. If they're in psychology, if they teach things centrally, it sounds very bland. If you teach it on one of these poles and the opposites, a lot more interest and intrigue. So it's very interesting that as you can use this for a lesson for bias, it's in some ways it's inescapable and it's hard to regulate, it's hard to think about, and it's philosophically very nebulous. Okay? If you want more information, the presentation just before this is 18 minutes long, and we go into some more detail about this in a presentation called The Frame is a Lie. Okay, good stuff.